as we head throughout the day for us here. Flash flood warnings, that's what these are. These green outline areas, that means that flash flooding is going to happen or it's occurring, meaning it's going to happen fairly soon. A lot of these areas have had flash flooding that has happened, and it is still raining down, and that's one of the reasons they have yet to get rid of these flash flood warnings. Glendale, Los Angeles, Santa Clarita, we have showers streaming in from the Pacific, and I know yesterday we had flooding in and around like the Universal Studios area, also flooding near Melrose and also Gardner Street in Hollywood. We have reports of street flooding here. San Fernando, 5 feet of mud across I-5. 5 feet.
Wow.
I'm 5'8", and so just to give you some perspective, imagine, you know, a lot of flooding there and mud as well. San Bernardino, Ontario, Rancho Cucamonga, we are still under a flash flood warning. More rain is coming down. Look at Forest Falls. 10.5 inches of rain for us. Big Bear City, 9.5 inches of rain for us. Into the Yucca Valley, we have roads that, you know, are impassable, and we're still going to take some time for all of this water to drain out and move away. Death Valley, I know there was closures there, and I believe they're closed again today. Is that right, Jordan? Death Valley's closed again today?
Yeah, they haven't updated it. They've been closed since yesterday. They're going to reassess today.
Yeah, they're going to reassess, which they'll do with, I'm sure, all the national parks out here. They're going to have to reassess if they're able to open them. There's probably some damage that they're going to have to go in and take care of. Conditions will improve from south to north as what's left of Hillary races off towards Canada as we head into tomorrow morning. Now we turn to San Bernardino County, where a local state of emergency has been declared, and the sheriff there is asking residents to shelter in place in the community of Forest Falls. Meteorologist Mike Seidel filed this report Sunday night. Let's time out, Hillary, because we will see things improving for us, Jordan, as we head a little bit later in the day in Southern California.
Yes, we will. We're already seeing
into Texas to cover this in the event that it turns into a tropical depression, tropical storm, which right now it has a possibility, 70% chance of that developing. And why is it going to Texas? Our big high pressure that actually helps steer Hillary north is also, with that clockwise flow, pushing our cluster of thunderstorms right into Texas. And so that means that the moisture is going to come in tonight as we head into tomorrow. But do we get that low-level center to develop right at the surface with this energy before it reaches shore? Well, we don't have a lot of shear to worry about, so it's possible. And look at the water temperatures, that deep red. We are in the upper 80s across the board here. It is super warm, and the only shear to speak of is over Florida and the Bahamas. So this does have the chance. Notice how it's right now considered a trough, which is essentially an elongated low pressure. Can that bunch up into one tight little low pressure? That's what we're going to be looking for. And right now there's a 70% chance of development. What's going against this is the forward speed at 14 miles an hour. As this is racing across the Gulf of Mexico, it might not have enough time in order to become a tropical depression or tropical storm before it interacts with land. But hey, here at the Weather Channel, we always are going to be ahead of these systems, so we have crews down there to take you through it. Right along the coast today, the possibility of some thunderstorms that expands tomorrow with this either trough or low or tropical storm moving ashore. There is a chance of tornadoes. It's on the low end, but there's still a chance with the instability that we're going to have in the atmosphere. And I can show you how it plays out. A few passing showers, but really it's overnight tonight into tomorrow when the bulk of the rain is going to come into Texas. I don't think that winds are going to be a major issue, but we have the chance for this rain, and that means a chance for flooding here into Texas. We do need the rain. We just don't want it all at once, Jordan, in order to cause this possibility, which is flooding.
Yeah, there will likely be.
So if you are traveling out there or you're out there and this is your vacation, I'm so sorry. I know how frustrating that may be, but it's all for safety. So keep that in mind. Maybe just one more day and then they'll be able to open it tomorrow. If you are traveling, things will be much better today than they were yesterday. Remember, turn around, don't drown. If you come across any of these flooded roadways, there's mud covering some of these roads. You're not going to be able to get through. Numerous reports of flooding here throughout Southern California. And you can see Joshua Tree, there's a mud flow there, so that might actually slow things to opening as well. Santa Clarita, we also have a large mudslide blocking some lanes there of some roads. So it is going to be tough to get around even once the rain stops. What is a mudslide? How does it work? Heavy rain is going to loosen that surface sediment, especially if you don't have any trees there or vegetation to hold down the sediment. And that rainwater collects all of this as it goes down the mountain. And as you know, without acceleration because of gravity, could take out trees, move massive boulders. Wait till you see some of the video we have of the boulders that were moved by the rain from this system. And they can move very quickly. They can move 10 to 35, even over 60 miles an hour. That's how quickly they move. So I will say that Hillary is moving very fast today. So we will see improving conditions. San Diego, you're already seeing those calmer weather. Los Angeles, as we head towards midday, we'll see the sun come out. But there is still rain stretching all the way into Montana as we head into the evening hours. But Jordan, it's not only the flooding, but we had some big time wind with this thing too.
We did. The rain numbers.
It is absolutely brutal. Yesterday, Houston got to what, 108, Jordan? That's in the shade.
Houston.
In Houston, which was a record. And that doesn't even factor in the humidity. So that's no humidity in the shade. This heat dome is expansive. It's not just Texas. I know we expect it to be hot in Texas in August. It's the level at which we have the heat and how long it's lasting. It's all week. High pressure, that means sinking air. That's a heating mechanism. Pushes our jet stream to the north. That means all the warm air can go north. And by the way, with that sinking air I mentioned, you get a lot of sunshine. So you just have it blazing down on you and no clouds. It's not only the highs. We could also see record lows as we head through the week. Today, our forecasted highs are in the double digits all the way up in Nebraska and South Dakota. And remember, that does not even factor in the humidity. The heat index is going to take us into the 1-teens in a lot of places. Dallas, you're going to be feeling it today. You're going to be feeling it tomorrow as well because the heat does not stop. Look at tomorrow, heat indices, 111 in Minneapolis. Chicago, it's going to feel like it's 96. It lasts, by the way, through the end of the week. We had, so if we look at our records, they were just impressive of what we had here. Los Angeles, Palm Springs, 4.32 was a record, and we had 3.19 inches. So we were close to that record. We were really close to a lot of records here. We broke a lot of daily records for us. And in Palm Springs, we saw over 60% of our annual rainfall out of this system. So here are those flash flood warnings. Now, a flash flood warning means it's flash flooding is imminent or it's occurring. And in a lot of these situations, this flash flooding is occurring still into Los Angeles, Glendale, Los Angeles, Santa Clarita. You are all under flash flood warnings. Same as we head over towards San Bernardino. By the way, that's Victorville. That video and that sound we just brought you with the mother and son, right there in Victorville, they are still under a flash flood warning. Rain is still coming down. Over towards Death Valley, they closed yesterday. They had closures with a lot of national parks. They're going to have to go out and assess. The Rangers will today to see what they can open. If not, they'll have to wait. But power outages, they are mounting. And you can see Los Angeles and Del Norte, we are the highest, the most number of customers without power. Water, though, of course, is grabbing the big headlines for us here. And that will continue to do so as we head through the day. And the flood advisories stretch all the way to Idaho and also into Oregon. Jordan.
All right.
Low level spin. I was like, oh boy, the model's picking up on it right there. Oh, yikes. All right, let's have a look at Tropical Storm Franklin. We have big bursts of convection, but you can see how everything's kind of tilted off to the east. That's usually an indication of shear, especially since it's moving west and we don't have the convection all the way around the center of this. And there's your shear kind of blowing everything off to the west. We do have tropical storm warnings and watches here for Hispaniola as the anticipated path of this brings it right over Haiti and also into the Dominican Republic Tuesday into Wednesday. And then thankfully it's going to be curving back out to sea because we have enough on our hands right now. We don't need another tropical entity, but we've got Emily to worry about here far out in the Atlantic. But thankfully, that is also going to take a scoop north and away from land. And Gert, I want to get to all of these because we have Gert that is expected to skirt basically North of the islands here, bringing some clouds and some showers there. That's good. Doesn't really do a whole lot of anything. And that's why if our system gets named in the Atlantic, it will be Harold. Can you believe we're already the Harold? This is definitely well ahead of schedule. Tomorrow in Texas, we've got all the answers for you right here on the Weather Channel. We have crews on their way to Texas as well. But first, let's get to Hillary with the very latest, Jordan.
All right, so here's what we know about.
Because it still exists. We have a trough coming in. Remember, what directed Hillary was a big high and then a trough coming into the west. And around that trough, your flow is like this, so that actually helps still bring the moisture in. Around your high, the flow is clockwise like this, and so Hillary basically just got directed in between the two of these right up like that. So now what's left of Hillary is tangled in with this trough coming in, and it stays troughy in the west, actually. And flood advisories still posted all the way up to Idaho and Oregon. It's just wild. Flash flood warnings, a lot of them on the border of Nevada and California. A flash flood warning means that flash flooding is imminent or it's occurring, and really in a lot of these instances it's occurring. The 405, the 5, it is still wet for us here. I know there was flooding around Universal Studios yesterday in Los Angeles, Glendale, Los Angeles, Santa Clarita, all under those flash flood warnings, and some of the numbers are just shocking. San Fernando, 5 feet of mud across Interstate 5. Jaw-dropping. We have mud across all lanes, closing things on Highway 39. We also have flooding near Melrose Avenue and Gardner Street in Hollywood. And we are going to see more of these reports continue to come in as we head through the day. San Bernardino, Riverside, Rancho Cucamonga, we are seeing flooding as well. And we saw anywhere from 9, 10 plus inches. When you get a little bit higher in elevation, you can squeeze that much more out of the atmosphere. But Nevada, we have the potential, if it verifies, that the 6 inches that has fallen so far here in Nevada to be a new state record for tropical cyclone rainfall. Death Valley, we were closed yesterday. I know rangers need to go out to all of these parks and assess the damage to see if they're able to open them today. But that rain is going to keep coming in with the combo of that flow coming off the Pacific. That helps keep things wet, though we will start to clear out from south to north. San Diego, we're pretty much out of it by now. And then as we head through Tuesday morning, still there is a slight risk for excessive rainfall that could cause flash flooding, and it actually extends into our Wednesday. Vegas right now gusting to 20 miles an hour, and we still have those wind advisories posted actually all the way up into Montana. But let's turn to San Bernardino County, where a local state of emergency has been declared, and the sheriff is asking residents to shelter in place in the community of Forest Falls. Meteorologist Mike Seidel is in Yucapa and filed this report Sunday night. Jordan here, and when will we get rid of this rain is what everyone wants to know.
Especially folks in Los Angeles, where you guys...
Going to cause that potential invest to go into Texas. All of the heat that we've been seeing in the center of the country is thanks to this big high pressure. There's a clockwise flow around that, and so that is going to push the surge of moisture in this cluster of thunderstorms into Texas. That will be happening as we head tonight into tomorrow is when we'll have the most rain. Can we get that low-level center to develop right at the surface? That's the question. There's nothing really to stop it with the exception of its fast-forward speed. Look at the water temperatures. Super warm. I mean, my goodness, we are in the upper 80s, if not 90s in some spots. There is no shear. And so this has a chance to really come together. But the question is it moving too quickly and running out of time? Let's hope so, because we certainly don't need another named storm, and we don't need one coming into Texas. It's moving west at 14 miles an hour, 70% chance of development for us. And this is going to be ashore as we head into tomorrow. We will have live crews to give you coverage of that, too. Thunderstorms are possible right along the coast today. It expands tomorrow because that circulation center will be moving through Texas. And we have the chance of tornadoes. It's a 2 on our Torcon, so it's on the low end of the scale, but we still have that chance of tornadoes. So let me move out of the way so you can actually see the weather coming ashore. Few scattered storms. Everything's pretty broad. As we head into the overnight hours, though, that's when the rain will come in. And, oh, do we get a low-level center developing? Right about there. Can that low-level center develop? That's what we're going to be keeping a very close eye on. So by tomorrow morning, when we are back on air here, we will be either just dealing with a tropical depression or potentially tropical storm Harold, Jordan.
We will see. And of course, as we zoom
of this fire, look at that. 2,100 acres burned. It's just all of these homes, all of these businesses, all this land. It's just really, really devastating. And I know there's a lot of just recovery. There's a lot of processing going on. And we do have some breezy conditions coming through, perhaps some showers that are coming through Kahului, Lahaina, heavier rain also down into the Big Island. Really, all the islands could see some light rain as we head over the next 7 days, which isn't unheard of here. Things are dry for us, and so we do need some of this rain here into the islands. Lahaina, today are those showers, and then we do stay sunny and breezy with our temperatures holding steady in the 80s. Jordan.
All right, well, let's get everybody.
Not everybody is going to get to cool off into our Friday. Expansive advisories for us from Minneapolis down into New Orleans, Montgomery, Atlanta, spreading west thanks to this high pressure. What is it doing? High pressure is sinking air. When the air sinks, it warms. When the air sinks, you can't get clouds, so you have direct sunlight. And with this big ridge that pushes that jet stream north, that allows the warm air to go north. So that's why we have the potential for record highs, record lows here across the board for us. Today, triple-digit heat. Notice Minneapolis and Chicago, not too shabby, eh? That's going to change, though. Today, our heat index in the 1-teens, maybe even 120s for some of us. We've had yesterday, what was it, 134? Is that what I saw, Jordan? Was it 134?
The heat index?
Yeah,
was
I think
it 134? Ridiculous.
It was like Lawrence, somewhere in Kansas. Now my mind is not processing the city, but it was in the 130s. It was just absurd. Chicago at 82 degrees today after 10 minutes, 101 in a car. After 30 minutes, 116. So it doesn't even take this excessive heat for that car to heat up very fast because the energy comes in at one wavelength, interacts with the seats and everything else, and it can't get out of the car because the wavelength has changed, and that's why it heats up. Tomorrow, that's when we shove the heat into Minneapolis and in Chicago. And remember, these are temperatures in the shade. In the direct sunlight, it's going to be even 10 degrees hotter than that. It's not only tomorrow, it's as we move into Wednesday, it expands. 114 million will be at 95 degrees or above. Dallas, yes, it's supposed to be hot in Dallas, but not this hot. 95 is our average high, and you notice we are above that all the way through next weekend. Now, you can listen to the Weather Channel. Multiple flash flood warnings. We are not finished with this yet. So there are some areas that were lucky where Reynolds is located, but not everybody is that lucky with rain still coming in. And we still have flood threats that stretch all the way up into portions of Idaho and into Oregon. We have it. But there's that rain still coming in and around Los Angeles, up towards Reno, also into Nevada, which, by the way, we could have a new state record for tropical cyclone rainfall. It's moving north at 29 miles an hour. It's zipping out of here, but it's also combining with a trough. And so that's also going to bring a flow of moisture onshore as well. So we still have it. All right, Los Angeles County, we're now up to 13,000 customers, the #1 spot without power, because there is still that threat for wind as well that is going to be a problem. But Los Angeles County has lost our flash flood warning. We still have it into Barstow, right into Vegas. We are also seeing those flash flood warnings. And again, that means that flash flooding is imminent or it's occurring. And notice the shield of rain is still quite large. San Diego, we're pretty much finished with it, but we still have those flood watches because sometimes it takes a minute for that water to drain into certain areas. So you have to keep that in mind. Rain's going to keep falling. That means that that flooding potential exists. Right around the edge of our ridge, we're going to see that threat for thunderstorms firing up. And as we head through the day today, notice from south to north, we will start to clear out. But with that trough working in conjunction with the remnants of Hillary, we have the threat for storms. And by the way, there is still some wind advisories right through portions of Nevada, also into Utah and northbound for us here. We could have some of these stronger winds still kicking off today, but flooding will be one of the biggest problems through not only our Tuesday morning, but even as we look into Wednesday morning. There is the slight possibility of excessive rainfall that could cause some flash flooding. We still, Jordan, have some decent amounts of rainfall that could come down, I should say, into Oregon and up into Idaho.
Yeah, that's real mountainous terrain right there in the Blue Mountains.
There are numerous road closures in the west due to debris and flowing water or roads that have been just chewed away at. And so that's something you have to keep in mind. I think flights will be better today, able to get off the ground and get in as well. But numerous issues. Look at this in Santa Clarita. Large mudslide blocking lanes there. Mudslide across lanes. Residents report over 5 inches of rain in Wrightwood. There's debris flow there. We have rock slides in Morongo Valley, Joshua Tree mud flows. So it is expansive for us here. What causes a mudslide? You get that heavy rain, and that is going to help loosen the sediment, especially if you have burn scars and you don't have any vegetation holding everything together. That collects sediment, it runs down the mountain, and it can do so very, very fast. And so you have this slurry of debris that can take out trees. There's massive boulders. Remember that boulder we showed you earlier in the show that looked like it was the size of a car? That can definitely happen. And of course, these can move at speeds up to 60 miles an hour when they are going very, very fast here. And a trickle of mud may precede, I should say, a larger flow. Jordan.
Well, we know hurricane
to show you the progression of this system, but that's not the only player in town. We also have, let's count them here for us. This is just the Atlantic. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 circled areas. That's just the Atlantic. You can see another one here in the East Pac as well. Super busy for us right now. So we have Emily, Franklin, Gert. If the system that Jordan was just pointing out gets a name, it will be Harold, and there's a chance it could. But let's focus in now on Franklin moving west. But notice that the convection with this is essentially all on the east side of it. So what would that be an indication of? Yes, shear blowing everything off to the east as the storm is trying to move west, and you can see some shear that it's battling here, and that's helping push everything off to the west. Tropical storm warnings, tropical storm watches for Hispaniola, as this is expected to take a right-hand turn for our Tuesday and Wednesday and go over both Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and thankfully turn out to sea, maybe clipping some of the Bahamas there. Then we have Emily moving west-northwest, and then it'll take a turn to the north, so thankfully that's going to stay away from us. And we have Gert moving west at 9 miles an hour, and Gert is expected to really kind of just fall apart as it continues that western path for us here. So here are the 3 storms we were just talking about. That's Emily, that's Franklin, that's Gert. And as they go through time, thankfully those will not be impacting the U.S., but we will be watching Hispaniola very closely. To tomorrow. So let's get right to it. So much to cover here. Let's start off with Hillary and the very latest with that, Jordan.
Okay, so as this thing continues to work its impacts from Hillary.
All right, Jordan, we have new video into the Weather Channel here that continue to lash the Golden State, and we want to show you where we are going to see the worst of the weather today. Notice there are flood watches from interior in California all the way up into Idaho and also over into portions of Arizona and also into Utah as well. We do have multiple flash flood warnings that are still posted into California, also into Arizona. And a flash flood warning means that flash flooding is imminent or it's occurring. In a lot of these situations, it's occurring. And we've been getting the video in to show you the mud and the slides and everything that's been going on. Down into Los Angeles, we now have a flood advisory. It was a flash flood warning. Now it's just a flood advisory. Glendale, Los Angeles, Santa Clarita, as there's still some showers that are trickling in. You see, we have this onshore, we have this big trough in the west, and so we're still seeing that flow coming off of the Pacific. So that's going to bring moisture into the area. But notice how rough it is here. Mud across all lanes of Highway 39, 5 feet of mud across Interstate 5 in San Fernando, flooding near Melrose Avenue and Gardner Street. And also there are street flooding here for so many of us across the board. Those flash flood warnings extend towards San Bernardino, 215, up 15 as well, Glendale, Los Angeles, Santa Clarita. And we have a lot of elevation, of course, here into Southern California. I was talking about all the different peaks that we have yesterday, but essentially where you have the higher elevation, you're talking 9, 10 inches of rain, because as that moisture goes up the mountain, it can squeeze out a lot more moisture because of the forcing that occurs during that. Death Valley, we were closed yesterday. They're going to have to assess to see if they can open today, and that is the case for all the parks here in the West. A lot of them were shut down. There could be some damage. They need to find out if it's safe for people to venture out. As we roll through the day, conditions will improve from south to north. We'll still see that rain, and by the way, some of it could be up to 2 to 3 inches into Oregon and Idaho. Let's check in with Reynolds Wolf, who has been tracking the storm just outside of Los Angeles. You've been in Rancho Cucamonga, Reynolds. How did you guys fare in that area?
In this area, I'd say we have about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches of rainfall.
That is closest to home, and we do have an area of disturbed weather, a trough. For those who aren't super familiar with a trough, just think about a low pressure stretched out like that. That's what a trough is, essentially. For those who want it more simple than that, it's a cluster of thunderstorms in the Gulf of Mexico. And our high pressure to the north causing all the heat, and boy, oh boy, there was a heat index yesterday in Lawrence, Kansas, 134 degrees. It's just outrageous. The highest of high. This high pressure, as a clockwise flow, is going to push this entity towards Texas. That means moisture is going to get in really tonight into tomorrow morning. Could we have a landfalling tropical storm? It is possible. So if you live here into southern Texas, you need to pay very close attention to this over the next 24 hours. Water temperature is plenty warm. Look at that. That's like giving candy to a baby. No shear. Only shear that we have, notice the pink from Florida to the Bahamas, and we have this broad area of low pressure, and that's causing the thunderstorms. Can we get this to cycle into a low pressure at the surface and make landfall in Texas? It's possible. Right now, there's an 80% chance of development for a tropical depression or this to become Tropical Storm Harold. We're going to watch this very closely. We've already sent crews to Texas. We've got you covered. So if you live in an area that is prone to flooding, I would say get those sandbags ready today because tomorrow morning this thing's going to be on shore. It's that quick. Thunderstorms are possible. San Antonio tomorrow all the way down to Corpus. But right here in those coastal areas, you could see that little push of water. And let me show you the timing real quick. As we head into tomorrow morning, overnight, you'll get some more rain. But watch this little center. See that right there? Is that enough to be a tropical storm? Heavy rain and, you know, that onshore push of water here. So we could have problems, Jordan, for the Corpus Christi area.
Yeah, I mean, look at how many
is 90% contained. Of course, it is over 2,000 acres and just destroying the town of Lahaina, north and south of there. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. We know that the cleanup efforts are ongoing here, and there'll be perhaps a few stray showers coming over the islands for us. And it's not only today in Lahaina, but also down towards Hilo, which is also just a very wet city to begin with. We will see that rain through the islands here, Kahului, Honolulu, all the way up into Lihue as well. And both models have the showers coming on through. It is dry, so we need the rain, but of course, it'd be nice to just get a break. And Jordan, it looks like in Lahaina, at least, it will be dry for the extended period.
Well, let's give everybody a travel.
Chicago, it is wide-reaching, all of this heat from Minneapolis down into Montgomery, Alabama, and the same as we head all the way into New Orleans, Louisiana. Big high pressure, this big dome. What this does is it suppresses the air. When air is suppressed, it's actually a heating mechanism. We get to the physics of it later. And when air is being suppressed, you can't get clouds to form. So you get that direct sunlight on you. And when you have this big ridge, this big bubble here, that allows the warm air to go as far north as the jet stream for us. So with all of that said, there is a potential for record highs and for record lows here from the Four Corners to the Outer Banks. Today, that heat goes all the way up into South Dakota. And these are just temperatures of what it says in the thermometer in the shade. That doesn't factor in the humidity. When you factor that in, it's going to feel like it's 116 in Lincoln and perhaps 120, maybe even 130 in some spots like Lawrence, Kansas. 134 was our heat index yesterday. Just atrocious. I mean, that's about as high as you're going to get here in the lower 48. Chicago, I want to show you the coolest of numbers on our map, just to show that after 10 minutes, it's 100 in the car. After 30 minutes, it's 115 degrees in the car. So it doesn't even have to be that hot outside in order for your car to heat up that fast. Keep that in mind. Don't leave your kids, your pets, anything in your car. Tomorrow, that warmth gets into Minneapolis and into Chicago, and that heat index is going to be triple digits. It's just going to be brutal for us. That continues into our Wednesday and also as we head into our Thursday and Friday. We just can't quit this heat. By Wednesday, 114 million above 95 degrees. Now, you can listen to the Weather Channel's live coverage hour that is very, very fast for us. And you can notice the path that made landfall in Mexico. It had been since 1997 since we had an actual tropical storm in Southern California. That was Nora. The last landfalling tropical storm, that was the one from 1939. But because this didn't make landfall in California, notice the path took it right over Los Angeles and then has scooped it up, interacting with the trough. And so all of this tropical moisture with that extra energy still is raining out for us. And we have flash flood warnings that continue right along the border of California and Nevada. Speaking of Nevada, we've had 6 inches of rainfall, and we've had rain all throughout, but there was a 6-inch total in Nevada. If that total verifies, it will be a new record for rainfall for the state of Nevada when it comes to a tropical cyclone. So we got to wait for that to verify, but we still have showers coming in. So there are flash flood watches all the way up to Idaho and Oregon. And there's the threat for thunderstorms, too. Big high pressure bringing some heat around. And there is that possibility of storms right around the western edge of this big ridge that we have. So as we go through the day, things are going to improve from south to north. But this isn't like, a typical system that just kind of moves in and starts to clear out. It is moving quickly, but with that troughiness coming in from the west, that helps keep us unsettled as we head throughout the day. But we will see improving conditions. The winds will start to die down. But even through the day today, you could get some of those thunderstorm winds that could cause some damage. So it might be that you got to wait another 24 hours until things really settle in. Tomorrow, we still have that threat for excessive rainfall that could cause flash flooding through a big chunk of the west. It continues as we head into our Wednesday morning. And then look at the rain still to come. Some of us could see very heavy rainfall here along the border of Oregon and Idaho. And these winds, a lot of these last until this evening, but they could be gusty, especially at elevation. You could see 60, 70 mile an hour gusts with these high winds. So as we roll through the day, notice 50, 60 mile an hour gusts here. That is going to be the worst up towards Idaho and really in the interior. California will start to really quiet down, especially as we head into the evening hours. And a lot of the winds will be tapering off as we head into the overnight hours. But Jordan, then we have to refocus our brains here on Texas, too.
Yeah, it's interesting because
and that's what we saw in a lot of places into Southern California. And unfortunately, traveling today is going to be tough due to those roads that have either crumbled under the water or have mud on them or have water or some sort of debris. So travel could be slow on the roads. I think air travel should get back to essentially normal today, but they'll play catch up because planes that didn't get in or didn't get out and different crews, that could slow things down. Look at all of the notices that we have here. Joshua Tree, we have mud flow covering some roads there. Santa Clarita, we have large mudslide blocking some lanes there. And it is just town after town where there's mud or rocks or water that have gone over the roads. That's going to slow you down. How do you get a mudslide? You get rain that loosens the surface sediment. And if you have no trees, like after a fire or any sort of foliage to grip the ground, then the rainwater can collect all this sediment and it just goes downhill, obviously with gravity forcing it down. If there's trees in the way, it could take them out. And obviously huge boulders the size of cars, like we saw actually in video earlier on the show. You could get feet of mud that obviously can cause damage. And sometimes they can move as fast as 60 miles an hour. That happens in an instant for you. So as we go through the day today, we're going to clear from south to north. So San Diego, we're pretty much finished. LA, we're going to clear out midday. I know that some schools are canceled there into LA. And then this evening, we will see improving conditions also into places like Vegas, but still some showers, Jordan, as the remnants of Hillary combine with the trough coming in.
Yeah, and we had some pretty good rain tracks north out of Southern California and into some of those other states out west. Our team of seasoned meteorologists are in place, and they will bring you some of that life-saving information. In the meantime, areas outside of this rain is all about the heat.
Ooh, Lawrence, Kansas, 134-degree heat index yesterday. Ouch. That is really rough. I mean, that's about as hot as you're going to get in the United States when we're talking about our heat indices. And notice that this warmth is wide-reaching as we head not only through the day today. We talked about this big dome of high pressure giving us all of this warmth today, tomorrow, through the entire week. In fact, we could see record-setting highs and lows. Triple-digit readings all the way up into Lincoln. Remember, this is in the shade and does not include your heat index. But even when you factor in the heat index, this is still considered in the shade. And with that high pressure and all the air being suppressed, there's no cloud. So you're going to get that direct sunlight. It's going to feel even 10 degrees hotter than this says right here. So it's pretty brutal out there. Today, 116, maybe the 120s again into some spots. Tomorrow, Minneapolis, it's going to feel like 111. Chicago, it's going to feel like 93 degrees. You're going to want to go jump in Lake Michigan. And remember, once you get up into that 103 to 124, you've got to watch out for heat exhaustion. Heat stroke is certainly possible if you are outside. I know a lot of people are heading back to school. Hopefully there isn't any sort of recess or anything, and the kids can do something in the gym or something like that. 114 million people will be above 95 degrees as we head into our Wednesday. Dallas, it lasts all the way through the weekend, the heat. Partners at CBS News recaps a historic night from Palm Springs. Carter, we appreciate that. And we saw over 60% of our annual rainfall in Palm Springs. Really bad there around Palm Springs, Jordan, all the way down to Palm Desert. But there's no rest for the weary. We've got a situation in the Gulf.
Yes, we do.
Tropical Storm Harold tomorrow morning making landfall about this time. We will see. That's not the only player in town, though. This is the one that Jordan was talking about. That's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas that we are watching out here in the Atlantic for us, all the way up to Gert. Harold will be the next same storm. Idalia, Jose, Katia going on from there. Why all this activity? A little MJO action happening, and that helps actually spark up the tropics. It usually lasts a couple weeks and then kind of moves on to another area. But if we look at Franklin right now, notice that it's moving towards the west, and all the convection is on the east side of it. Why do you think that's happening? Why do you think that's happening? Well, you get shear blowing everything off to the east, and that's why you're seeing the convection off to that side. Otherwise, here into Haiti, Dominican Republic, we have tropical storm watches and also tropical storm warnings as we're anticipating our system to turn north, go over Hispaniola Tuesday into Wednesday, and then continue out to sea for us. But that's not it. We also have another system for us. Here's Tropical Storm Emily. This one will stay far out to sea. Here are the islands for you. You can get an idea of where it's located. And then we have Gert on top of that. Looks like this one's just going to kind of peter out as it makes its way towards the Lesser Antilles. And you can see all the different circulations here that I was just talking about and how we have our system going over Hispaniola. There's Gert. And then we also have Emily staying out to sea. That one's name was Franklin. So we'll continue to watch all of this for you here on the Weather Channel. We continue with live coverage continuing after this break.